It was the year 1969, a time when the world still looked up at the night sky with wonder and mystery. Far away in the United States of America, in a quiet place called Florida, something extraordinary was about to happen. A giant white rocket stood still against the blue sky. Its name was Apollo 11. And inside this rocket, 3 men were preparing for a journey that no human had ever taken before. A journey to the moon. The astronauts were calm. Neil Armstrong, the mission commander. Buzz Aldrin, the lunar module pilot. And Michael Collins, who would stay behind in orbit. They were not just astronauts, they were explorers, stepping into the unknown. On the morning of launch, everything was quiet. The air was warm and still. Engineers checked every wire, every button, every system, and slowly, very slowly, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The world seemed to hold its breath. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then a powerful roar filled the sky. Fire and smoke lifted the massive rocket upward, slowly at first, then faster, until it broke free from Earth. And just like that, Apollo 11 began its journey to the moon. As the rocket moved higher and higher, the Earth became smaller behind them. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land, slowly turning into a distant marble. Inside the spacecraft, everything was calm. Soft beeping sounds, gentle radio communication, and the quiet breathing of 3 humans floating into space. Days passed. Space was silent. No wind, no sound, no night, no day. Only stars, endless and peaceful. The astronauts traveled farther than any human had ever gone before, and then they reached the moon. The lunar module separated. Its name was Eagle. Inside it were Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Slowly, carefully, the Eagle began to descend. The moon's surface grew closer. Gray dust, rocky ground, endless silence. No trees, no rivers, no wind, only stillness. Inside the module, Neil Armstrong focused quietly. The computer beeped. Warnings appeared. Fuel was running low, but he stayed calm, very calm. And then, a soft moment of silence. The Eagle touched the surface, gently, carefully. The landing was complete. A voice came through the radio. "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." And far away on Earth, people listened in silence. Some cried, some smiled, some could not believe it was real. A few hours later, Neil Armstrong opened the hatch. Slowly, he stepped down the ladder. The moon waited in silence, and then his foot touched the surface, a moment that would never be forgotten. He spoke softly. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The moon was quiet, strangely peaceful. Every step they took left a footprint that would remain for millions of years. They collected rocks, took photographs, and looked back at the Earth, a small blue planet hanging in the darkness, beautiful, fragile, and far away. Inside that silence, there was no rush, no fear, only calm exploration, as if the universe itself had paused, just to watch. After some time, it was time to return. The astronauts left the moon, carrying memories and dust from another world. The Eagle lifted off again and joined Michael Collins in orbit. And slowly, the journey home began. Days later, the spacecraft entered Earth's atmosphere. A fiery glow surrounded them as they fell gently back toward the ocean. Parachutes opened, and the capsule landed safely in the water. The world had changed. Humanity had touched another world and returned, not with weapons, not with conquest, but with curiosity. And now, as you listen to this story, imagine the quiet moon above you, still, peaceful, waiting, and think of how small Earth looks from far away, and how peaceful everything becomes when we slow down and simply watch the universe. The night grows softer now. Your breathing becomes slower. Your thoughts become lighter. And like the astronauts drifting through space, you can rest peacefully and calmly. The moon is still there, and the stars are still shining, and everything is okay. After leaving the moon behind, Apollo 11 was no longer moving forward. Now, it was returning home. A long journey through the quiet darkness of space. Inside the spacecraft, everything felt different now. The excitement of landing had turned into a calm silence. The astronauts were tired, but peaceful. They had done something no humans had ever done before, and now they were going back, carrying that memory with them. Outside the window, the moon slowly became smaller, a gray world fading into the distance. No sound, no movement, only stillness. And then, something beautiful appeared, far away, a soft blue glow. It was Earth. At first, just a small dot, then slowly, it grew brighter. Blue oceans, white clouds, familiar shapes. Home. Michael Collins, still orbiting above, watched Earth alone for a moment. A quiet thought passed through him. How small everything felt, and how connected everything really was. The spacecraft began its final approach. The atmosphere of Earth was waiting, invisible, powerful, protective. And then, they entered it. A soft vibration filled the capsule. Heat surrounded them like fire in the sky. Outside, the air turned into light and energy. But inside, the astronauts stayed calm, silent. Breathing slowly, the spacecraft shook gently, as if the sky itself was guiding them home. Then, one by one, the parachutes opened, slowly, like floating flowers in the sky. The capsule drifted downward, toward the endless ocean. And then, a soft splash. The sea welcomed them back. Silence, then voices, then life again. A ship approached. Humans on Earth had come to bring them home. The hatch opened, and the world they left behind welcomed them back. But something had changed, not just for them, but for everyone. Because now, humans had touched another world and returned safely. And as night falls again in your mind, imagine Earth from space, quiet, slowly turning, floating in darkness, so peaceful, so small, and so beautiful. Everything you worry about, everything you think is big, from far away, becomes quiet too. And just like the astronauts drifting through space, you can let your thoughts drift now, slowly, softly, down into rest. The stars are still there, watching silently, and the universe is still calm, and you are safe, and everything is still, and the night continues gently. The capsule rested on the ocean, gently rocking with the waves. The sky above was calm. Clouds moved slowly, like time itself had softened. Inside the capsule, the astronauts waited quietly. No rush, no noise, just the soft sound of breathing and distant radio voices from Earth. Then, the recovery team arrived. A large ship appeared on the horizon, slowly coming closer, as if it did not want to disturb the peace of the moment. Divers entered the water. They moved carefully, like they were approaching something fragile, something sacred. The capsule was secured, lifted gently onto the ship, and the hatch slowly opened. Fresh air entered. Warm sunlight touched their faces. After so many days in space, Earth felt almost unreal. The astronauts stepped out one by one, tired but calm. Their feet touched the deck of the ship, and the journey was finally complete. A silence followed. Not empty silence, but meaningful silence. The kind that comes after something truly extraordinary. Some people smiled. Some simply stood still. No one spoke loudly. It felt like even the world itself was listening. And far away, millions of people on Earth watched. In homes, in cities, in small villages. People looked up at the sky again, but this time, it felt different. The moon did not feel distant anymore, because now, humans had been there, and had come back. Later, the astronauts were taken safely home. Medical checks, reports, interviews, but inside their minds, everything was still quiet, still floating, still distant like space. And when the world slowly returned to normal, something remained changed forever. A new thought had been born in humanity, that even the farthest places are not impossible, just waiting. Now, as this story gently fades, imagine yourself lying under a quiet night sky, stars above you, soft wind around you, and a deep, peaceful feeling inside. The universe is large, but not frightening. It is calm, slow, endless. And just like the astronauts returning home, you can return now to stillness, to rest, to sleep. Everything is safe. Everything is quiet. Everything is slowing down. The moon is still there. The earth is still turning. And you are at peace. And after that night, life on Earth slowly continued. Days came and went. Cities moved. Oceans shifted. Time passed gently forward. But somewhere inside human minds, something had changed forever. A small, quiet idea that the sky was no longer a wall, but a door. Children grew up looking at the moon, not as something far away, but as something they could reach one day. Scientists began to dream again, not loudly, not urgently, but patiently, like planting seeds in a silent garden. And the stars, they remained unchanged, still glowing, still watching, still waiting. Night after night, the same sky returned, but it never felt exactly the same again, because now it held memory. It held footsteps that once touched another world, and maybe, someday, another journey will begin. Not just to the moon, but farther, Mars, and beyond, quietly unfolding, step by step. But for now, there is only this moment, this breath, this silence. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to think. Just let everything slow down, like a spacecraft drifting through space, without effort, without sound, just floating, gently, calmly, and the universe continues around you, steady, vast, peaceful. Nothing is required of you now. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing is waiting. Only rest. Only stillness. Only night. Long after the first moon landing, the world kept turning. But the memory of that journey never really left. It stayed quietly inside the air of the earth, like something invisible, but always present. Nights became softer in a strange way. When people looked up at the sky, they didn't just see darkness anymore. They saw distance. They saw possibility. They saw a path that had already been traveled once. And in that silence of space exploration, something deeper was discovered. Not just the moon, but the feeling of being small and still being important. The astronauts who returned often said very little after their journey. Because how do you explain standing on another world and then coming back to a familiar one? So instead, they would pause and remember. The gray dust under their feet, the earth hanging in the sky, and the silence that had no end. Time moved on. New missions were planned. New rockets were built. New names were written in history. But the first journey remained quiet and untouched in memory. And somewhere far above, beyond clouds, beyond air, beyond sound, space continued to exist exactly as it always had. Still, infinite, patient. There are no footsteps in space that disappear quickly. No wind to erase them. No rain to wash them away. Only permanence. Only silence that remembers everything. And now, imagine this. Earth slowly rotating beneath you. Blue oceans turning gently. White clouds drifting like soft thoughts. Continents moving through sunlight and night. From far away, there are no borders, no noise, no urgency, only a single living world, breathing slowly in darkness. And you, watching from above, become quiet too. Your thoughts begin to slow, like falling snow that never rushes. Everything that once felt heavy starts to feel distant now, like radio signals fading into space. And just like the spacecraft that traveled so far, you don't need to push forward anymore. You can simply drift. Drift through silence. Drift through calm. Drift through soft, endless night. The moon is still there. The earth is still turning. The stars are still burning quietly, in places so far away. They feel like dreams. And somewhere in that vastness, everything is connected. Not loudly, not clearly, but gently, like threads of light, holding the universe together. Now, let your breathing slow down, in and out, like waves touching a shore that never changes. There is no destination anymore, only movement without effort, only time without pressure, only space without fear. And if you listen carefully, in the deepest part of this silence, you might feel something simple. Peace. Not the kind that is found, but the kind that was always there, waiting quietly. So you don't need to hold anything now. Not thoughts, not questions, not time. Just this moment, stretching softly, endlessly, like the night sky above earth, never ending, never rushing, always present. And as this story continues without words, you can let yourself fade gently into rest, into stillness, into sleep. Long after the first moon landing, the world kept turning, but the memory of that journey never really left. It stayed quietly inside the air of the earth, like something invisible, but always present. Nights became softer in a strange way. When people looked up at the sky, they didn't just see darkness anymore. They saw distance. They saw possibility. They saw a path that had already been traveled once. And in that silence of space exploration, something deeper was discovered. Not just the moon, but the feeling of being small and still being important. The astronauts who returned often said very little after their journey. Because how do you explain standing on another world and then coming back to a familiar one? So instead, they would pause and remember the gray dust under their feet, the earth hanging in the sky, and the silence that had no end. Time moved on. New missions were planned. New rockets were built. New names were written in history. But the first journey remained quiet and untouched in memory. And somewhere far above, beyond clouds, beyond air, beyond sound, space continued to exist exactly as it always had. Still, infinite, patient. There are no footsteps in space that disappear quickly, no wind to erase them, no rain to wash them away. Only permanence, only silence that remembers everything. And now, imagine this. Earth slowly rotating beneath you, blue oceans turning gently, white clouds drifting like soft thoughts, continents moving through sunlight and night. From far away, there are no borders, no noise, no urgency, only a single living world, breathing slowly in darkness. And you, watching from above, become quiet too. Your thoughts begin to slow, like falling snow that never rushes. Everything that once felt heavy starts to feel distant now, like radio signals fading into space. And just like the spacecraft that traveled so far, you don't need to push forward anymore. You can simply drift. Drift through silence. Drift through calm. Drift through soft, endless night. The moon is still there. The earth is still turning. The stars are still burning quietly. In places so far away, they feel like dreams. And somewhere in that vastness, everything is connected. Not loudly, not clearly, but gently, like threads of light, holding the universe together. Now, let your breathing slow down, in and out, like waves touching a shore that never changes. There is no destination anymore, only movement without effort, only time without pressure, only space without fear. And if you listen carefully, in the deepest part of this silence, you might feel something simple: peace. Not the kind that is found, but the kind that was always there, waiting quietly. So you don't need to hold anything now. Not thoughts, not questions, not time. Just this moment, stretching softly, endlessly, like the night sky above Earth, never ending, never rushing, always present. And as this story continues without words, you can let yourself fade gently into rest, into stillness, into sleep. Now imagine something even quieter. Not Earth, not the moon, not even the space between them. Imagine the space beyond all of that, where even light takes time to arrive, where distance becomes so large, it starts to feel like stillness itself. In that place, there is no sound at all, not because it is empty, but because everything is too far apart to speak. Stars are scattered like soft sparks, not close enough to form patterns, just gently existing in all directions. And in between those stars, there is only calm darkness, not scary, not heavy, just endless. If you could float here, you would not feel movement, only presence, like being held by something invisible and very old. Time behaves differently here. It does not rush forward. It does not turn sharply. It simply flows, like a slow river without edges. And in that slow flow, even thoughts begin to quiet down. One by one, they soften, they fade, they rest. There is nothing to chase here, nothing to complete, nothing to reach. Only distance that feels like peace. Now think of Earth again. Far away, a small blue light in the dark, still turning, still alive, still home. From here, it feels so gentle, like a memory you don't need to hold tightly, just something you can watch and appreciate. And the moon, a quiet companion nearby, always there, never rushing, never changing its calm face. Between Earth and moon, between moon and stars, between stars and deeper space, there is only silence, layer after layer of silence. And in that silence, something very simple becomes clear. You're allowed to rest, just like everything else. No need to move, no need to think forward, no need to understand everything. Because even the universe does not rush. It expands slowly, patiently, without effort. So you can do the same. Let yourself expand into stillness, not as action, but as letting go. Like drifting deeper into a soft ocean, an ocean made not of water, but of space itself. And in this ocean of stars, everything becomes lighter. Even memory, even time, even thought. There is only floating now, gentle, endless, floating. And if you stay here long enough, you might notice something subtle. That silence is not empty. It is full of calm, full of space to rest, full of room to breathe, full of quiet that never ends. So let your awareness soften again, slowly, gently, like a light fading behind a horizon. No resistance, no effort, only sinking, peacefully, into deeper calm. And the universe continues around you, not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly, as it always has. And now, you can let go of even this story and simply drift into silence, into rest, into sleep. And even now, deeper still, there is more silence beyond silence, a quiet that is not empty, but endless. Imagine drifting farther, past the stars, past the galaxies, past even the idea of distance itself. Here, space is no longer something you travel through. It becomes something you simply are inside of. Soft, vast, and still. There are no edges here. No beginning you can find. No end you need to reach. Only continuation, without effort. Light travels slowly across this vastness, not in a hurry, not trying to arrive anywhere, just moving, because that is its nature. And as it moves, it leaves behind a gentle trail of brightness, like memories dissolving into calm. Now imagine yourself not as a traveler, but as a quiet point of awareness, floating in this endless field. No weight, no pressure, no direction pulling you, only presence, soft and simple. And in this presence, everything becomes easier to release. Thoughts loosen their grip, worries lose their shape, time becomes less important. Like sand gently slipping through open hands, everything slowly falls away, and what remains is very simple. Stillness, not forced stillness, not empty stillness, but natural stillness, like the universe resting between breaths. You might notice now, even your awareness feels lighter, less defined, more open, like a quiet sky, without clouds, without storms, without noise, just open space, and somewhere far away, Earth continues to turn, people sleep, oceans move, wind travels across mountains, life continues softly. But here, there is only this calm distance, a peaceful separation that feels like safety. The moon still exists too, unchanged, patient, watching nothing, yet present always. And between all these worlds, there is a quiet connection, not visible, not spoken, just felt. Like threads of calm stretching across everything, holding nothing tightly, but holding everything gently. And now, you do not need to follow those threads. You can simply rest where you are. Let your thoughts slow further, like ripples in water becoming flat again. No movement is needed now. No direction is required. Only sinking, softly, deeper into calm. And the silence around you becomes even more gentle, almost like warmth, almost like comfort. Everything is slowing down again. Thoughts, breath, time, all becoming soft and distant. And in that softness, there is nothing left to solve, nothing left to reach, nothing left to hold. Only rest, only quiet, only space. And the universe continues its slow breathing, in and out, in and out, endless, patient, calm. You can follow that rhythm now, without effort, without thought, just drifting along with it. And as this rhythm carries you deeper, even this story begins to fade at the edges, like sound disappearing into night. So you can let go now, completely, gently, naturally, and rest in the endless quiet, where nothing is required, and everything is already at peace. And now, Even the idea of distance begins to fade. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer matters. There is only quiet awareness, floating gently, without direction. No place to arrive, no path to follow. Only presence, expanding softly. Imagine now that even space itself begins to soften, like fabric slowly relaxing after tension is gone. Stars no longer feel far away. They feel simply present, not above, not below, just existing in all directions at once. And in this softened universe, even light feels calmer. It no longer rushes from place to place. It simply glows, slowly, peacefully, without urgency. There is no center here, no edge, no boundary, only continuity, stretching endlessly in every direction. And in that continuity, something very quiet happens. Thoughts begin to dissolve, not suddenly, but gently, like mist disappearing into morning air. One thought fades, then another, then even the feeling of thinking begins to rest, and what remains is simple awareness, soft, open, unshaped, like a calm ocean with no waves, just depth, still and infinite. Now imagine Earth again, not as a place you are far from, but as a soft memory of color and light. Blue, green, white clouds slowly turning. It is still there, still moving, still alive, but distant enough to feel peaceful. And the moon, a quiet presence nearby, unchanged through all time, watching nothing, yet always there. Between them, space stretches gently, like a silent bridge made of calm. And you're somewhere within that vast quiet, not falling, not rising, just existing softly within it. There is no urgency here, no time pressing forward, no expectations waiting, only stillness that does not demand anything from you. Only silence that does not ask to be understood. And slowly, even your sense of being somewhere begins to loosen. It becomes lighter, less defined, more like drifting awareness than form. Like a cloud forgetting its shape and becoming part of sky again. And everything becomes easier now. Easier to let go. Easier to rest. Easier to simply be. The universe continues its quiet expansion, not loudly, not suddenly, but like a breath that never ends. And you can follow that breath without trying, just allowing it to move through everything. In and out, softly, endlessly. And as you follow it, you begin to feel something very gentle, that nothing is missing, nothing is wrong, nothing is unfinished. Only calm continuation, only quiet unfolding, only peace without effort. And even this story now becomes softer at the edges, like a distant echo fading into night. So you don't need to hold it anymore. You don't need to follow it. You can simply release it and drift. Deeper, slower, quieter, into the place where even silence becomes soft.